Hey guys, welcome to my, well, yeah. If you've seen my channel before, yeah, it's definitely been a while, a long while. So why am I posting now? Well, I've gotten a little motivation, and also I just want to have some fun. So I've been able to get myself a tripod and start recording. What am I recording? Well, whatever I want. Recently I've been recording Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels because I'm an avid Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. I'm not going to say I'm a pro or anything. I'm far from it. I feel like I'm more of a scrub than anything. But anyway, yeah. So I'm posting videos, Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe Beyblade. I apologize for the background noise. I would be at home recording this right now, but unfortunately, yeah. Let's just say I wanted to be where I am right now. This video will come out soon where I am. It's a Beyblade tournament. But as of right now, this intro will be for this video. My match with Blue Eyes Primite. Yeah, I just finished it as I'm recording this right now. So, hope you guys enjoy. If you're wondering who I am Vesta Viri. The Vesta part is the character you see on screen. The Viri part is the person talking, which is me. Yeah, Vesta over here is just, kind of like the face of the channel. The face of the channel is me, but I don't want to show that. I don't want to show that. But yeah. Any of you who stumble upon this, yeah, welcome. Well, welcome, and yeah, this is my first video in, yeah, quite a while, but hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, let's get started.
I'm saying that is 6, 7, 8.
Hey, I got my seat. How's this doing, man?
Alright, so we're starting off with this duel, shuffling my cards here. My opponent here is the Chosen One, or just one.
It says my opponent is.
And yeah, I had to blur that part out because you said my actual IRL name. Anyone in the shop, if you stumble upon this, please don't say my actual name. I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, yeah, Juan over here is playing a 60 card pile deck of Blue Eyes Primite. And, yeah, my starting hand was Ash Blossom, Nova, Red Nova, Duelist Genesis, Cool Tune Mix, and Effect Veiler. And I used that Ash Blossom right away as Juan used Wishes for Eyes of Blue, which got ashed right away, and then he had Lord Reload. And I used Effect Veiler on it so that he doesn't gain access to Drill Beam. So now he links off the Primite Ether Barrel for Spirit of Eyes of Blue, allowing him to grab his Mausoleum of Light. And yeah, so right off the bat, you can see my hand right there. I already said what's in my hand, but my hand is not the best. It's not the most ideal hand to have, especially Red Nova being in my opening hand. You don't want to draw the Nova unless you have like a way to use it. In this case, I don't. But yeah. So there's going to be some confusion right here. He uses Primite Fusion to fusion summon the Primite. Yeah, he's gonna put it up right here. The Primite Dragon Nether Berzelis. And this was an illegal summon because the materials he used, Spirit of Eyes of Blue and Blue Eyes White Dragon, were not legal. He had to use the Ether Barrel that was in his graveyard, so we're just correcting the game state. But for some reason, he put the Spirit with Eyes of Blue in his graveyard. And you're hearing me you could kind of hear us talking how I was telling him like why is the spirit of Ice Blue in his graveyard?
Okay, but like, why is it stuck in the graveyard then?
So I was just simply trying to correct the game state, and I was telling him like, well, your spirit of Eyes of Blue was on the field. Why is it in the graveyard now? And he was like, oh yeah, you're right. So we fixed the game state, and yeah, you're gonna see right there that like he puts back the material he used to summon the Nether Berzelis back on his graveyard when it should be in his deck. So he uses Little Blue to bring out his other blue eyes. Then he uses the Primite fusion in the graveyard. He then realizes, these two are supposed to be in my deck. But yeah, he uses Primite fusion to add Primite Imperial Dragon. And that card is pretty nasty. That card has a pretty nasty effect during my turn. So you can see me reading over the Nether Berzelis because I don't often see this card in Primite decks, let alone Blue Eyes Primite. The card itself isn't bad. What it does is like for every normal monster that one has on his field or in his graveyard, I cannot activate monsters of the level equal to the normal monsters he has. In this case would be 1. Activate on the field. Anyway, so my turn starts, and I top deck probably the best thing I could draw, which is the JJ Cool Tune. What that card does is it allows me to do an additional normal summon of a tuner monster. It also has another effect that I'll go over later in the turn, but just know that it's a pretty good draw. So I use Duel's Genesis right there to add Synchro Overtake and immediately use it. You're going to see this card a lot throughout this duel. Because I use this card a lot, and despite that, I still read it over quite a lot. But yeah, it resolves, so I reveal the Cool Tune RS, or Red Seal, as what the RS stands for, to summon Rekko. And he attempted to use Rekko's effect, but he used the Effect Veiler on it. I'm explaining what it does. I'll go over it in a moment. Yeah, he uses Effect Veiler right there, which honestly didn't really affect how I was going to do this turn. So, yeah, I'm just clarifying that he had one card in his hand, which is the Imperial Dragon. So I ended up normal summoning my Mix, and attempt to activate her effect. So what she does is I can add a Cool Tune from my deck or graveyard that is now level 2. And Rekko does the same thing, but she can't add level 3s. And this is where I think he got a little greedy, because he used the seals to bounce back my Rekko. Not Rekko, bounce back Mix. His logic was like, because he normal summoned, he has basically nothing. So if I return his card back to hand, he can't do much. And yeah, I do see the logic behind it, but I don't know. I feel like that was a little too early to bounce back my card. Anyway, so I use so as you see right there, so allow me to explain. For those who don't know, Cool Tunes have the ability where you can use a tuner monster in the hand to synchro summon. In this case, I use Mix in my hand that he bounced back to summon a Red Seal. And they have graveyard effects when they are synchro summoned. So Mix pops a monster, Rekko pops spell and traps. And at this point, he didn't know that I have the field spell, the JJ. And this is I had to read over his Nether Berzelis to ensure that I could use Mix, because he has 2 normal monsters, the Blue Eyes on field and the one in his graveyard. And I was and yeah, you can, because I didn't control mix on the field. She was in the graveyard. But yeah, I reveal the JJ and do my second normal summon of Q, and Q is like the best starter in your deck in Goldtunes at the moment. At least not until Blazing Dominion comes out. But what she does is on normal summon, she special summons any tuner from your hand, deck, or grave. And honestly, knowing that he has the Imperial Dragon, I feel like he could have used it at this time. He didn't. He didn't though. Because if he did, he would have stopped Q from popping off. So anyway, yeah, I use the Red Nova in my hand to synchro Q away into Trackmaker. And there's going to be a bunch of chain links happening, but all you need to know is that he's going to use the Imperial Dragon, so we'll have to go over Trackmaker another time, because it's going to end up being negated. It's going to end up being negated, so yeah, when Imperial Dragon is summoned, it negates everything on the field that I currently control. Well, my side of the field specifically. And then for every monster I control with the same type or attribute, they are banished. So the Trackmaker got negated and is banished, but the Red Nova and the Q resolves. So yeah, and I'm seeing his two top decks, because he has no cards in hand, and I was like, ooh. Yeah, so I banished the Called By and let him top deck Visions, and Visions is a not at this time, because one has no hand, is not a good draw. It's not something you want to top deck, especially if you have no cards in hand. What Visions do is it has two effects. It lets you add an MST, or you get to draw two cards. But then you have to discard a quick play spell, and if you don't have a quick play spell, your entire hand is discarded. And yeah, it would not be a good in his situation, because he has no cards in hand. That would have been a really bad thing. Yeah, so I used the Recco that I summoned with Red Nova and Mix to summon the Remix, and I was checking his graveyard to see if he had a tuner, because Remix gains double attack. So her base attack is 15, and but she becomes 3k if he has a tuner in the graveyard, which in this case is Veiler. So it was just enough to beat over the Imperial Dragon, and then I attack with Red Seal, which unfortunately is negated because she has an ability to have her attack increased for every tuner in both graveyards. And so yeah, I ended up using JJ to grab Clip, and he knew what his top deck was, and that was a pretty risky thing to do, because he didn't even know what his next two cards would have been. He's really lucky though, because he ended up top decking Fallen of Virtuous, which he had to discard to keep his hand, but I assume, because he's immediately passing, I assume he didn't get a good draw. And yeah, you see me tribute Remix right there. What she does is I choose two tuners, special summon one of them, and add the other to my hand. In this case, I'm going to summon Mix and then add back Ash Blossom. Yeah, he kind of immediately scoops right after this, because he knows he's kind of cooked. And yeah, that's pretty much how game 1 went. Let us move on now to game number 2.
Now the deck, like your main monsters and all that go crazy. But like the staples,
Alright, so we're starting off with game 2. Juan decides to go first, and yeah, I don't know if you can see his hand, but he has a pretty insane hand looking at this footage. Kind of hard to tell what I have. I cited in Perulia, Ghost Ogre, and I can't remember, but I cited 2 more cards. Anyway, he starts off strong with Maiden, Maiden of what? Allowing him to place the True Light on his field, and then he uses the True Light to set a blue-eyed spell or trap, which here is Roar of the Blue-Eyed White Dragon, giving him access to that Blue-Eyed White Dragon, allowing for Maiden to summon herself from the graveyard. And I don't know what he was debating there. It's kind of hard to see his hand, but just note that one of his cards is Droll Knocker. I didn't know obviously at the time, but one of his cards was Droll Knocker, and you can see that Ash Blossom was there as well. So I dropped a turn and I topped a second copy of Kewl. Not the worst thing in the world, but it's still a pretty good starter. So I normally summon the Kewl to activate her effect, and he contemplated for a bit, or was debating for a bit. He ends up going to use that Ash Blossom in his hand. Oh, I see what he was debating about. He has wishes in his hand. Yeah, okay, so that made sense as to what guy he was contemplating. So yeah, he negates the Q, and I use Synchro. And I use Kultin Synchro's effect to... What it does is I add a Kultin card from my deck to my hand, except another copy of Synchro, and then immediately after it resolves, I can Synchro summon. And as I mentioned, Kultins have an ability to use tuners in your hand as synchro material for a synchro summon, which is what happens right here immediately as I add Rekko to my hand with the effect of synchro. And I made a pretty goofy mistake. Summoning Loudness War in attack mode. A monster with 0 attack. I honestly don't know what I was thinking here. Maybe I had the field spell already in hand? No, wait. No, I don't think it did. There was a reason. I think it was because I would gain access to the field spell, and because he had a tuner, it would be big attack. It would have a big, high enough attack. But anyway, Q resolves. Q's graveyard effect resolves, activating his top 2 cards, allowing me to banish the Sage, and then putting his Ghost Spell in the bottom of his deck. And I don't know what he was doing right here. Then this is kind of where he realizes something. This is where he kind of realizes something, because he could use the effect of Joy. Yeah, as you can see, he was asking me, like, oh, which one was the effect to add? And I was pointing out it was just the Kultin Synchro. Okay, now I remember. I had 2 copies in hand. So on Chain to his Droll Knocker, I used another copy of Kultin Synchro. Yeah, you can, Synchro lets you use it twice per turn, which is actually insane. And then because of, and yeah, as you can see, as I use the effect of Kultin Synchro, he used Dragon's Mind, which is basically an Omni-Negate. For if you have a monster with 25 attack or defense, which in this case was the Spirit Dragon, the normal Spirit Dragon. The one on field right now is Ultimate Spirit Dragon. So I passed my turn. So I attempt to pass during the end phase. During the end phase, his monster would die because of Spirit's effect, and then Ultimate Spirit Dragon, when it dies, would revive a light dragon monster. I think it's just a light monster. I'll have to check. Anyway, unchained to that, I use Loudness War to copy Q's effect. What Loudness War does is, when my opponent activates a card or effect, I can banish a Cool Tune in my graveyard to copy the graveyard effect. So I copied Q's effect again, allowing me to see 2 more of his cards. And I banished the Mausoleum. now looking back on it, I feel like I should have banished the ultimate fusion, but it's not going to matter. Right there in the moment, we were kind of debating on the Dragon's Mind in his graveyard. Because what I thought is that you can only activate one of the effects per turn, and not both effects, because it has a graveyard effect where you can pay 2,500 life points to reset it, which is kind of insane. Yeah, I read the card and it says you can use each effect, which means you can use both effects in the same turn, which is honestly kind of insane. Anyway, so he uses so he summons his barrel, and I tried to negate it, and he used the Dragon's Mind again. And because he used the effect to reset it, it vanishes, which probably doesn't really matter to him. At that point, he got a lot of value off of that one card. And because he summoned Blue Eyes White Dragon, he was able to get Maiden back and use her effect to get back the True Light on his field. And he used the wishes to search his tuner, a Light Tuner, and a Blue Eyes Spell Trap. Or Spell Trap that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon. In this case, he adds Effect Veiler, and he adds, I think it was Ultimate Fusion that he adds. Yep. Okay. Sorry about that. Just seeing his triple tactic thrust just slide out of his deck is funny. But yeah, he adds the he adds the ultimate fusion, and then he uses the second effect of. He then uses the second effect of Wishes for Either Blue to equip a Blue Eyes monster in his extra deck to his Blue Eyes White Dragon. Which in this case will be the Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and this essentially allows him to tribute that very Blue Eyes that he just equipped to summon the Tyrant Dragon, which is a pretty insane card. This is where, this is where the goofy thing comes up, because he ends up attacking me. And yeah, so I could have avoided taking damage right there. He attempted to use the Spirit Dragon's effect, but it only to summon a Synchro. But the problem is that it wasn't Synchro summoned; it was revived from the graveyard, so he can't use that effect. Which I did point out, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I can't do that." I gotta say, man, it didn't matter. So he links off the two the two dragons for spears. Same card he used in that last duel, where he made what I thought was a pretty greedy play. And then my next draw was for the draw for turn night was Synchro Overtake. Yeah, like I mentioned in game 1, you're gonna be seeing this card a lot. So I revealed a remix to add Nick to summon Nyx from the graveyard. He had no response. I know he has Effect Veiler in hand. I just didn't know when he would use it. So I used Mix, this effect, and yeah, he uses the Veiler. So yeah, there goes my plan. Well, not really plan. Yeah, then he uses True Light to revive his Blue Eyes, which does revive his Maiden. And then he uses Ultimate Fusion, which I was like, wait, you play more than one Tyrant? But no. It turns out he thought he could reset that Tyrant to summon it again, but no. But no, he can't do that. He can't do that unless he plays two of them, which he doesn't. Yeah, he can't summon the Tyrant that way. Which if he could, that would be crazy. But yeah, even if Ultimate Fusion did resolve, yeah, because he used Blue Eyes on the field, he would have popped the card on my field. He would have destroyed the card on my field because of Ultimate Fusion. So he asked me if I used up my normal summon. He used the effect of Spears to return the mix to my hand, which honestly didn't matter. And this is where things went south for me. He summons that Koikimiro monster. I don't remember. I don't know how to say its name. I don't know if I remember its name. But all you need to know is that it's a floodgate. It prevents both players from summoning light or dark monsters. Which honestly, I think is kind of a crazy card to play in a deck where his entire deck is light monsters, except for the Primites. Yeah, like his Maiden is a light monster, his Blue Eyes is a light monster, the Spirit Dragons, like almost every Blue Eyes monster in his deck is a light monster. The only ones that aren't light monsters are the Primite cards. They're all Earth. Oh wait, no. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it prevents me. Okay. So yeah, the Quirky Hero monster prevents me from special summoning, not normal summoning. So I can normal summon the Q. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If he did not bring that thing out, I was pretty much stuck. If he didn't bring that card out, I was pretty much stuck. And I'm just debating with myself, thinking like, how can I get myself out of this? But I was hoping, like, if he had nothing to reveal, because what that Koi Chimera does is, during the end phase, he has to reveal a dragon, or I think it's a dragon or a Koi Chimera, specific Koi Chimera card to keep it alive on his field. But then I read it, and it was during his end phase, not both end phases, so that really sucked for me. So yeah, I was just kind of stalling right here, but honestly nothing I could do to get rid of it. So I ended up passing, hoping he didn't have I ended up passing just hoping that he just gets nothing. He doesn't do anything. But unfortunately for me, he's gonna add the barrel back to his hand. And I essentially just scoop. I was like, yeah, let's just go. So yeah, you got this 1-1. Alright, so here we are at game number 3, the final game of the duel. And yeah, I start the turn off with Synchro Overtake, and yeah, this is the third time I used this card in this very duel. And despite that, despite that, Juan still had the need to read it. I was like, and I'm just like thinking to myself, like, this is he even said it too, like, I know you used this card, but can I just read it again? Yeah. So I had I looked at my hand and I was like, oh yeah, this is a pretty strong hand. So I used Overtake to reveal Remix to summon Mix, allowing me to, yeah, he was just looking at Mix again to, I think just to remember what she did. But, yeah, so I used the effect I used her effect to try and add Q, and it resolved. And, yeah, if you saw a peek at his hand right there, he had Droll and Lockbird in his hand. But honestly, it didn't really matter, because my hand was cracked, and yeah, you can see another copy of Overtake. And, yeah, I chained to the Droll Lockbird with Synchro. And he was like reading, like, wait, you can do that? Or I think he was just reading over what it did. But yeah, so before the Droll resolved, I was able to add one more card to my hand, which is that trap card right there, Cool Tune Playlist. And what that card does is I target a Cool Tune in my graveyard and apply both of its effects in sequence, which is to add that target back to my hand and then copy its graveyard effect. I could have Synchro Summon here, but I chose not to, because I feel like resolving Q mattered more, and it really did pay off. I debated if I wanted to summon I thought about summoning Nova, but I was like, nah, let's summon Rekko instead. Because I feel like Rekko was a better play. So, yeah, as you could see, he read over Q and he was like, oh wait, never mind, I have a response to this. So he belled. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Rekko's just back in my deck. And honestly, it didn't matter all too much because Rekko was already in my hand. Yeah, because I could see that right there. Unfortunately, for him, this is gonna hurt a lot. So I summoned Loudness War. And I was, it was just, I don't know why I was putting my graveyard in my deck. So I was using, so I activated Q's effect to look at his top two, and as you can see, and his top two was pretty bad. So I banished the Bell and let him top deck his Blue Eyes. And if you saw a peek at his hand right there, he had Visions, the card he used in the last duel. And as a sort of a risky play, I used Ash Blossom in my hand to summon Remix. Which, honestly, it's not going to matter, because, yeah. So, he's going to do a pretty funny play right here where he summons Magma Hut. And then he was like, effect, and I was like, but you drolled. He was like, I know, I can activate its effect. I don't think you can if you droll. Let me know down below. But yeah, he top six the Blue Eyes, and yeah, this is pretty much where this is pretty much where it seals the deal. Because I think he got a little, or maybe very greedy. Because, as you can see, he had Sage in his hand. I'll explain in a moment. So yeah, he uses Visions, and he tried to use the effect to add MST. And then I chained Remix to it. And he was like, yeah, you're fine. I had to explain to him what Remix did, but yeah, just like the first duel, I choose 2 tuner monsters, add 1, special the other. So I special Rekko, add back Ash Blossom, and then he tried to search MST, but apparently I don't know what happened here. I think he sided it out, so instead he has to use the draw effect, and it pretty much sold the game because he drew because as I mentioned in the first duel, if you don't have a quick play to discard, you discard your entire hand, and if I'm being completely honest, because he had Sage in hand, I feel like he should have normal summoned the Sage and not take that risk with the Visions. So I think he got a little greedy. Yeah, he tried to use the effect to add MST, but I feel like it would have been better to just summon Sage and then do off your Blue Eyes plays. Anyway, it's not gonna matter because yeah, I ended up winning the duel because of that. And yeah, let me know what you guys think, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.